Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron where, hi console, that is not the button I was looking to press. I was looking to press the escape key to do that. Perfect. Well, we're off to a wonderful start here. So, last episode we worked a little bit on digging in here. We haven't gotten as much of that done as I would have liked, but that's mostly because we were coring way too much. So, there's that. At this point, we have a fair amount of additional work to do up here, no doubt about that. I would like to move this piece of infrastructure up, and then this is all land forts beyond that. So the land forts are in kind of a rough sort of priority, but I do want to get some civilian factories going here. So let's get some work done on some of that. We don't need that many of them, just something along the lines of this. So that looks good for now, and we'll make some progress on this. I want to move the infrastructure and the railroads up and intersperse. The primary goal here is to get as many of these civilian factories as we can. And then once the civilian factories are done, at that point, we're interested in building some of these land forts. So that should be absolutely fine, and we'll let that proceed for the moment. But our primary focus at this point needs to be a couple of things. One, this front is going to get a lot longer. So I would like to have a second unit of infantry out over here. I think that's going to be a very, very useful thing. And as of right now, we do have a small unit that is doing that. But I kind of want to move these into, well, we're going to need to make a larger size of that unit. We're going to need to get that up to 24. That's going to take some time, for sure. The question is, how much do we care about that? Well, let's think about what this might look like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, okay, that's actually just kind of fine then. Okay, cool. So we don't need to worry about that much then. Sounds good. Our primary focus right now, though, is going to be punching this line out to here, punching a corridor out this direction. So for now, I want to check in on how we're doing on our tank production. We're making 14.21 per day right now. We're pretty negative on chromium, actually. Let's see if we can get some from South Africa. That's quite a lot of chromium that they're willing to deliver. So that seems great. We now have enough chromium for our tank production, putting us up to 21.7 per day. I like it. And we're a little bit short on steel for this, actually. So can we import any more steel? The answer is not really. So that's absolutely understood. What else are we interested in acquiring for steel? Well, Republic of Turkey has some steel down over here. That would definitely be interesting to do. No doubt about that. But for now, I think we're just going to have to just accept that we're just making tanks right now. Nothing else. Just tanks. We have a big shortage of steel, and that definitely needs to be handled. So, let's take a quick peek at what might be going on out over this way, resource-wise. Any steel out here? Not really. Not until we start getting out over into this area. Okay. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Understood. Now, I'm going to take these two armies here, and we're going to make them into an army group, like this. So that's absolutely fine, and we're going to need a commander for these, of course. So we're going to need to do some promoting here. So we'll promote this guy. And it's going to be more and more expensive to promote these, keep in mind. So that's understood. We'll put this guy in here for now. And I'd like to get another commander here, eventually. But we can't afford this just yet. It would cost 48 command power. We don't have that at this moment. But what I do want to do is I want to take this army group, and I want to set its front line as being here. Now, what's the supply situation out over this way? Supplies are absolutely going to be a bit of an issue, I think. So we've got a hub here, that's good. We've got a hub here, that's pretty okay. I'm going to put a hub here, and then I'm also going to put a hub here. And that will require a rail connection coming down over this way, and there we go. We may as well also have one coming up here like that and crank up that rail connection like that. This rail connection should also be maxed out. So we'll get that going. That'll take a little time. We're not going to be ready to launch this attack for a little bit, for sure. So that's absolutely understood. And yes, we eventually want to do an attack out over here as well, but that's pretty far in the future. Although, I just noticed we're at 59 stability. Excellent. So what that means, of course, is that we can come over here and we can grab Industrialized Society. Recruitable population factor plus 9%. That's worth 18 months worth of our agrarian society reducing. So that's a full third of what remains. That is not bad. So we'll continue to work on that for now. And we'll get our tanks into position out over here in the eventual times. And for the moment, our construction is primarily focused on this. Although we did just queue up some of this stuff, which is, of course, going to take a little while. And that's okay. So everything is progressing nicely at this point, I think. I just wanted to make sure that all of our infrastructure is queued up. And yes, that looks good. So that's absolutely great. And we're going to be punching out over this direction eventually. But we're probably going to have some supply issues before that becomes a thing. So out over here, we want to go into this army group. There we go. Excellent. So they're just going to punch on through with the goal being, and we can have them start preparing this, although they're nowhere near ready to actually do this. We can start having them prepare an offensive line, which would be essentially just like that, right? And what's that fill-in looking like? Honestly, that looks pretty good. That's pretty close to what I wanted. It goes a little further south, but that's, I think, reasonably fine. So we'll just be preparing for this offensive operation here. And we can see that the enemy forces are considered considerably stronger at this time, and that's not terribly surprising. We're not in position. We don't have very many troops here either, but we have a very dug-in fallback line here if we start getting pushed back, and that should be absolutely wonderful over this way. Yeah, we've got a big mess here right now. There's no doubt about that. Ah! There's a raid coming in on this oil field. We have our anti-air built here, so that's not an issue. Okay, there's a naval invasion up here? I mean, we're defended against any naval invasion up this way, so presumably it's already dealt with. Presumably. They would have a very, very hard time making that happen. So for now, that's fine, and I want to check in on our constructions here. How are those rail lines going? And the answer is they're going very well. So that's absolutely fantastic. We will see more of these civilian factories finishing up soon enough. And how are we doing on our singular core that we queued up? Okay. So that's looking good. We definitely want to finish that up eventually. Okay, so these tanks are starting to get into position over here, but we still know that we need like 12 additional tank units. No, wait, 16. We need 16 additional tank units here. So that's going to take a little while, and it's, of course, going to take time for us to get those tanks produced. So that's absolutely understood. We need 872. That's actually going to go pretty fast. That's going to go very fast, actually. So advanced oil processing has finished. Let's get this modern tank brigade heading on over. And we also want to grab modern oil processing. There we go. So that looks great. I'm not concerned about fuel right now, but if we need it, we have it, right? So that looks good for the moment. We're continuing to finish up some of these modern tank brigades here and there. So at this point, we need 14 more, and the number of tanks that we have for that is actually looking pretty good. We're going to turn down our priority on our tanks eventually. That said, we've got plenty of everything else, so I think we're probably going to continue to stockpile tanks for right now. So Industrialized Society just finished, and do we want to do anything else here? Well, for the moment, actually, no. I'm just going to continue to use that for political power. So that sounds great for the moment, and what else do we want to do with that political power? Well, I'm looking at our war support here. Combat casualties is pretty low here. So there's really not too much that we could do there. We could exert heroism. This is absolutely a thing we could do, and we could get about 5% war support from that. Or we could do something else with it. Like, for example, improving worker conditions. This will give consumer goods factories factor, but the stability would be useful. So boosting our stability would be absolutely great, but I feel like our stability is pretty good, to be honest. I'm not sure I want to give that up. So for now, I think we're just going to sit on the political power. That said, we could absolutely modify our government, and we could get like an industrial concern here. This would be consumer goods factories factor minus 5%. So if we check in where we are right now, we're going to be a little higher than where we want to be. So we can see we're at 19%. This will bring us potentially back down to 14%. Let's see if that's actually true. That might be multiplicative, but let's see. 18%. Okay, yeah, so it actually dropped by 1%. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. But that's still better than where we were, so that seems phenomenal. So we'll continue to work on some of this. Our rail lines are finishing up, and the civilian factories are going to finish quite soon. So we now have this modern tank brigade. We'll get that sent over. We have almost half of that final army, so that looks good. We're just waiting on some of these to finish their training. So this one is the only one that's lacking its tanks. It needs like 150. This is saying we need 737 in total. Okay. I mean, we're making 23.07 per day, and our production efficiency can go up by another, like, 20%. So that seems absolutely wonderful. I'm quite content with this number of tanks, to be clear. I think this is sufficient tanks. So we're just going to get through this. We needed a lot of tanks for our initial recruitment here. But our ongoing tank cost is going to be much, much lower. So that sounds absolutely fantastic. We can see that this has now received its tanks, or most of its tanks, enough to continue training anyway. So that sounds good. Okay, this just went up to 861 required tanks. Presumably that's because this finished and started training of another division. Some of these are still on 2 of 3, you can see. So those are going to get finished fairly soon. That's going to mean we need roughly 300 more tanks than what it says here, which is 801 right now. So that means we need 1,200 in total, but now we need 758, and that number is going to continue to drop at a prodigious rate. Absolutely a prodigious rate. So what's going on over here in northern China? Allegedly a naval invasion. I don't actually see a naval invasion occurring here. Okay. So for now, that is absolutely fine. Wait, is it because we're in naval map mode? No, I just don't see it happening at this moment. So that's absolutely okay. We can see that our manpower is definitely doing very, very well. No doubt about that. And overall, I'm very happy with our production situation. Okay, so this is now another tank division done. That's at 15 out of the 24 that we're angling for. Beautiful. This last round is going to take a while to train, and that's absolutely understood. They're going to be entirely training the final round here on 29 October, which is tomorrow. Excellent. Okay, so we'll have this deploying now. Perfect. So now we have our quote-unquote final number of tanks we need. Of course, some tanks will be destroyed by the enemy and we'll have to replace those. But this is allegedly the total number of tanks that we need to fill out all of our desired divisions. However, I'm going to do something a little bit odd here. And that is that I'm going to add a new deployment queue of armored divisions. And we're going to add a unit, 2 of those, and we're going to set this to be down here in the same sort of area. So that's absolutely fine. And the reason why I wanted to do that is these are just going to infinitely produce, much like these infantry divisions are. So that's going to be the ongoing recruitment, just in case we need to replace them or we want to get a unit online in our Western theater or something along those lines, right? So that's fine for now. If we look at the balance of forces here, the enemy is still considered stronger over here. We're up to 74 command power, and we are almost certainly going to want to get a commander here. So we'll show a field commander. We'll promote this guy. Where did he go?
Hey, come on.
Maybe he's not eligible for this. Maybe he has to go in here. Yes. Okay, so we need to promote somebody twice to have an army group commander. So that's absolutely understood. We will get there. Ah, they're trying this naval invasion again. Hilarious. It's not going to go well for them, to be clear. It never goes well for them. So that's absolutely fine for right now. How are we doing on the training of these additional units? So we can see down here that we have delivered 24 out of 150 tanks for both of these at this point. So that looks good. We can see that our number of tanks needed has been holding fairly steady for now, but I'm not planning on doing any additional hefty amounts of recruitment. So we should start to build a stockpile of tanks, which is absolutely what we want to see. We want to see a stockpile of tanks building up for sure. So this is 788 now. We're producing 24 per day. We're going to get up to, I believe, over 25 per day, which is more than 1 per hour. And that seems good to me. So modern rubber processing has finished, and I want to hop in here quick. So that's this filled out, and that's actually everything in the industry tree done that we can do for the moment anyway. And actually, forever. Yeah, forever. The engineering tree is done for the moment until we get some of these special projects done. And I'm not terribly concerned about that right now, although we should look at those. We probably have some breakthroughs that we can spend on that. And what do we want here? These are all pretty much identical, except that this one costs a little bit more. Okay. So that looks fine for now, and at this point, I want to hop into our experimental facilities, because, yeah, we definitely have some breakthroughs. So here in Orissa, I want to recruit a scientist. This is something we can spend some of that political power on. You're a submarine specialist? Wait, this is the same person, but this one's a submarine specialist. Do we have more fraud occurring here? Why are you not a submarine specialist, but you are a submarine specialist? You're also... Okay, that's her skill in nuclear research. This is her skill in naval engineering research. I think I understand what's happening there then. We're going to recruit her, and that looks good. So at this point, what do we want to go for? So we have no breakthroughs for naval at this time, and so we can't get any of these projects going. That's understood. We have no active project for land warfare. Let's start working on the military engineering vehicles. We've only got the one breakthrough here, but let's get started on that. For air, we actually have 4 breakthroughs. We can get going on jet engines, so we'll get going on that one. And then for our nuclear research facility, we can start the nuclear reactor research. So that is a good thing to do. We should also probably remember to upgrade our agency here, our intelligence agency, so we'll get going on that as well. Okay, so I want to check in here. 716 required tanks at this time. Have we finished up the construction of our supply hubs out over this direction? Looks like yes, we are exclusively building land forts at this time. So this is mostly low priority land forts here, and I'm not terribly concerned about getting those built. So that means that we need to start our offensive campaign here fairly soon. I want to make sure that this guy is motorized, at least. This one is motorized. I want this one to be at least a little motorized. Honestly, these forward ones should probably be at maximum motorization. And this one already is. Okay. So we're going to have some supply issues on this front already, which is not necessarily ideal. But we're going to launch this attack in the eventual times. So we're going to need to do a recruitment here, which I believe is still going to cost 48 to promote, correct? Yes, this action would cost 48. Okay. So that's absolutely fine. We are certainly interested in promoting someone who has, like, armor experience. No valid traits can be gained by this commander if promoted. Okay, sure. I'm not terribly concerned about traits right now. I just want to get the command power. So daily gain is 0.71 at this juncture. We can also get a doctrine here, and this is an air doctrine. I want a land doctrine here. And we probably want to go the assault route. I don't think we want to go the infiltration route. Although this would give us access to tank organization. This would give us access to armored car and motorized and mechanized infantry. But it would give us access to the blitz tactic. Okay. So this would be overwhelming fire tactic. Sure. Tank organization +1. And tank organization +1. Okay. And then this would be leg infantry, but then this would be tank organization +2, which on its own is almost equivalent to what we had over here, remarkably. Infiltration assault would be about the leg infantry. Land night attack +25%. That's probably pretty good. Another tank organization here. Okay. I don't know. I'm actually kind of torn between what direction we want to go here. I'm leaning towards infiltration though. I'm just looking at what these actually give us, right? Although those tactics might be very, very useful. Although we would still get access to blitz here and elastic defense. So would we still get access to overwhelming fire? No. And then this is street-by-street barrage. And 10% coordination. I don't know, maybe we should just go assault. Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to grab mechanized offensive here and then assault concentration. And we can also grab branch interoperation. And that should help us at least somewhat. So for now, that looks good. And how are we doing on our training? Okay, so we can see that these are a ways away, for sure. We're still lacking some roughly 75 in each of these. Approximately. Yeah, we definitely still need to get some tanks going here. But we're not going to be recruiting any more here. We're only going to be recruiting more here. So that means we need 300 tanks every... How long do these even take to be fully trained? Several months. So that's definitely a doable thing. Okay, so the railway gun research has been finished. We're just kind of researching random things at this point. We've got basically everything that we high priority wanted. So that's all looking fine. I guess we can grab like Bren carriers. Sure. That looks good. So we're going to be pushing through out over here eventually. What is the current setup on this? It's considered to be to our advantage. There is a large river crossing, of course. We knew that that would be the case. But we're not ready to actually launch this attack yet. We are still working on digging in, and I want to check on the status of that up over here. That's going very well. So this area is very, very heavily dug in at this point. It's going to be very hard for them to kick us out of it. Beautiful. So next up, we're going to want to push in and attack out over here. We do have enough command power to promote up a field commander here. I'm going to promote this guy, but he is not actually ready to be assigned here because he needs to get promoted further. So who was that? Was that this guy? I believe that was this guy. Okay, there's a radio interception group finishing up. In order to promote this, we'll need 31 more CP. Okay, that seems fine. So we're going to continue to work on our cryptology department for now. Machine-assisted encryption for the moment. We want to be a bit defensive on that for now and make it just harder for them to break our ciphers. So that looks good for the moment. We're not quite ready to launch this attack yet. We're very close. Very, very close. But we're going to wait out this training, and that'll be absolutely fine. We also want to have a field marshal in here, so we'll give that a moment. Paratroopers have been finished. We can continue to work on that, but it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to start really building up our surplus of tanks. So we can see we're now starting to work on upgrades. That's a big deal. We're going to work on that, and we're going to work on our stockpile, and we're going to launch this offensive eventually. We're not quite ready to do it yet, but in the next couple of months, for sure. These guys, they can go into, I believe it was this army. Yes, that was correct. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very, I don't know why I'm saving the game already. Apparently this is a thing I'm doing now. A very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.